something unbelievable just happened in Jerusalem, and people around the world are asking the same question. Is this a sign of Jesus' return? On the Mount of Olives, new cracks are appearing, lines across the ground that look like the earth itself is preparing to open. And instantly, believers remembered Zechariah 14:4, the prophecy that says, "When Jesus returns, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, and the mountain will split in two." Imagine that. The very ground where Jesus ascended is now showing signs of movement. Coincidence? Or a divine reminder that time is short? I'm not saying this is the exact moment, but I am saying this. God is shaking the earth to wake his people up. Jesus warned us to be ready, to stay awake, and to watch the signs. So what if this is your reminder, your wake-up call, your moment to turn back to him? Tell me what you think in the comments. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to follow for more. Jesus is coming soon. Are you ready? Something is happening in Israel right now that the entire world can feel, whether they believe in God or not. And the question on everyone's mind is simple but terrifying. Is this a sign from God? Today, as news spreads of the biggest tragedy to strike Israel in recent history, people across the globe are shocked, confused, and scared. Some are calling it a warning, others are calling it prophecy being fulfilled right before our eyes. And you, watching this right now, might be wondering the same thing. What does this mean for us? For the nations? For the future? Before you scroll, stay with me to the end, because what's happening right now might be bigger than politics, bigger than war, bigger than anything we expected. And if you're new here, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because this is the kind of message the world cannot afford to ignore. Israel has always been the center of spiritual attention, a small nation carrying a massive prophetic weight. But what unfolded recently has left even the strongest believers shaken. Reports describe scenes of chaos, fear, and heartbreak that feel like the opening pages of a prophetic chapter. And whether people admit it or not, this tragedy lit a spark of fear and curiosity deep inside the world's heart. Suddenly, individuals who never picked up a Bible are Googling end-time scriptures. People who claim not to care about religion are asking questions they swore they would never ask. Something about this moment feels different, heavier, louder, impossible to just brush aside. And maybe that's the point. Because whenever Israel suffers, the world pays attention, not just politically, but spiritually. Throughout Scripture, God used moments of tension, crisis, and shaking to grab humanity's attention. These moments weren't always punishments. They were wake-up calls, a warning, a final invitation for people to turn back to Him before even greater shaking arrives. And as Israel faces this heartbreaking tragedy, many are asking whether this moment is one of those divine wake-up calls, a reminder that time is moving faster than we think, that prophecy is unfolding while the world sleeps, and that God is still and always will be speaking. And here's what's even more unsettling. People all over the world are reporting the same feeling, a deep sense in their spirit that something is changing, something is shifting, like the calm before a storm, or the rumble before an earthquake, not just physically, but spiritually. You can feel it in conversations, news headlines, social media posts, and even in private moments of reflection. Something about this tragedy feels like a sign, one the world wasn't prepared for. But signs from God are not always dramatic miracles or glowing lights in the sky. Sometimes a sign is a shaking, a disruption, a moment that stops the world in its tracks. Scripture says that in the last days, there will be wars, rumors of wars, distress among nations, and hearts failing from fear. But it also says something else, something people often forget. God allows shaking to bring people back to Him, not to push them away. He uses tragedy not to destroy, but to reveal, to expose the truth, to awaken the numb, to pull people out of spiritual sleep and into spiritual reality. And that's exactly what may be happening right now. Israel, the center of biblical prophecy, is once again experiencing a moment that forces the world to face the reality of Scripture. And whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or something in between, you cannot deny how strange the timing feels, how intense the global reaction is, how spiritually charged the atmosphere has become. It's almost as if God is allowing the world to feel what Israel feels, to remind us that His timeline is moving and His word is real. So, what does this mean for us? It means we cannot afford to be spiritually asleep. We cannot live distracted, numb, or disconnected from God. Moments like this are not meant to scare us. They're meant to wake us up, to make us look inward, to ask the hard questions, to seek God now rather than later. Because if there's anything the Bible teaches, it's that every tragedy carries a message, every shaking carries a warning, and every prophecy carries a purpose. Right now, people around the world are praying for Israel, for families grieving, for leaders seeking wisdom, and for peace in a region that has seen too much pain. But we also need to pray for our own hearts, that we remain alert, grounded, and ready for whatever comes next. Because the truth is, we don't know what tomorrow holds, but we do know who holds tomorrow. So, I want you to drop a comment below. Do you believe this tragedy is a sign from God, a fulfillment of prophecy, or simply a painful event in human history? Your perspective could help someone else understand what they're feeling right now. And if you want more messages that help you understand biblical events unfolding today, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the days we're living in are getting more intense, and you don't want to miss what comes next. The world may be shocked, people may be scared, but God is still speaking. The question is, are we listening?